let's talk recent reads. My recent reads. Let's talk about them. Let's talk. Hi guys, I'm ladymair reads, and I talk anything and everything sci-fi fantasy, and I'm recently a sci-fi girl. I will admit that now. I'm recently a sci-fi girl. But I want to talk about recent reads. So, what have I read recently, and what have I liked, what have I hated, what have I just not? Let's start being a hater. Let's start being a hater. I DNF Mask of Mirrors. Everybody was telling me this was going to be something I was going to love, and nope, I listened to 4 hours on the audiobook, right? 4 hours my speed, and I just weren't feeling it. I might try the ebook, I might not. Only because I'm not going to pay for it. I'm going to see this in the library, but other than that, I'm just like, I don't, it could have been my mood. And this is a lovely segue into the other book that I just didn't like, because I read this right before I picked this up, and I knew I needed a banger. Otherwise, I just wasn't going to feel the book, and it just wasn't a banger for what I thought. The Sword Unbound was the worst book I have read so far this year. I should have DNF'd it, but I didn't, and I'm now regretting that. The writing was fairy tale-y, the plot was all over the place. It just was not feeling that. Characters were very shallow. Themes were very shallow. I know it's meant to be like D&D-esque, but it just failed on that. So much about that was just wrong. The writing and the way the way last book ended, I just expected a lot more to happen for the characters. So a lot of the time it was just like meandering through life. There was no focus. There was no motivation for each character, especially Alfric. Like, he was so adamant that people were not betraying him, even though it was slapping him right in the face and everybody was telling him this, but he doesn't want to believe that but it didn't work. Like, it was kind of like he wants to do a Ned Stark kind of thing, but it did not work. It didn't go very well. And then you have his sister, Olva, and I know she's meant to be naive, but at the same time, I expected more from her now that she was, like, having a place in power. I expected her to stumble through it and to actually have more political intrigue, insight into how this famous city was run, and it just wasn't happening. And then there was a part where she would suddenly have some powers, but it was very weakly woven through beforehand. Like, I would have wanted more from that, and then wanted more of her learning it, rather than her just being like, oh, I can now do this shit now, and stuff. And then, like, stuff that was happening at the war as well. Like, it was just, everything about it was shallow. I recommend book one. I liked book one. Don't recommend book two. But from that, I read Dragon Rider. The best dragon fantasy out there. I'm calling it. Fucking calling it. The themes in it, but the freshness on the tropes that went there. Like, and Jai as the main character, and how the twists worked, and the characters, and how as you went through the world it got bigger and bigger and bigger. It can get very dark. It took some time to really set up the life of Jai at the beginning, because he is technically in the employ of a king, but he can't leave, so slavery. But it has got themes of colonialism going through it. There's an evil prince. But then the relationship between Jai and the king in the beginning, and then towards the end, really, like, was so well done. So in a way that, like, you're both enemies, you both shouldn't like each other, but he served this king since he was a baby, like, not baby, since he was 4. So it's hard to not feel anything for him, even though you know he's the reason why you're in this situation that you're in, and why your family is how you are, and why your dad's dead. So, and the complicated emotions that go through that, and yet at the end he was like, I don't, when something happens to the king, it was like, I'm not going to leave you. And that was so well done. And then later on, when you're trying to warn people of things that are going to happen, he's going to do the good thing, and obviously the dragon, how he gets the dragon egg, I've never seen it before. It's not for the faint heart. Like, whoo, like the trope on it, and then how that happens. But there's also a magic system set around the dragons. So, and it's a hard magic system, so you get rules, and I love that kind of shit, because, like, while I loved Aragon, there wasn't really like a grounded rules around it, and this was just so fresh take on all of that shit. and then the ending, and oh, I am here for the fucking book 2 and the revolution that's going to come. I'm here for that shit. I could go on talking about this, like everything about, the book, it was just incredible. It was just fucking incredible. I was just possessed. I was absolutely fucking possessed. Another book that possessed me, A Dance with Shadows. I have never regretted more in my life meeting the author at Gonzalez Fest, but not buying the book and telling him, I think I might get the audio, because I'm trying not to buy so many books because my TBR is so big, and I mainly read via audio anyway, but this book was so good, I need a trophy. And I regret that, because it was that good. There's music vibes starting off in the beginning, in the sense of like, the character is very into music, so straight away you're feeling for the character, because you're like, you really want to get into this prestigious school. But again, racism. So, but they can't outright deny you, but at the same time they're making it very difficult for you to get through, and they're making you kind of leave a part of you behind to do it, which is wrong, but it's that going through that character and seeing how is he going to do it. But then it gets worse. But then instead of it just being centered around the musical, it goes further. It just flips on the head, pulls the rug out from underneath you, and something happens where it goes a complete about face, complete different turn, and you're seeing stuff happening from, again, the culture of this certain type of people really coming to the forefront, understanding that what his mother was hiding secrets, and then going through discovering who his father is, and learning the magic system. And it's based around shadows, but it's so interesting for that. It's not just I can do shadows. No, there's stuff, there's consequences, there's learning how to use it, and there's meeting people, and there's having a chip on your shoulder, and the character and the ending. It was, for a debut book, it was really good, especially the writing, so eloquent, and yet they nailed all, there's multi-POV, nailed all the characters. I cannot praise this enough. And the audiobook, highly recommend that. Highly recommend the audiobook. And I cannot wait for book 2. And Roger Payne is gonna be an author I'm gonna watch. It's definitely gonna be an author I'm gonna watch. The way he crafts his stories. It's a chef's kiss, man. Chef's fucking kiss. Dragon Rider and Dance of Shadows, I highly recommend. Do go pick them up. Let me know what you've read recently, what you're reading. I'm reading too many books at fucking once. Oh, hang on. The other book I read, Night Shadow. I'm going to leave it there, because I actually do have a headache. But let me know what you're reading. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.